Well, welcome to How We Met. I'm Sheryl Strich, and every month we interview two couples from Laguna Woods who tell us how they met. Today, first up, we have Dorothy and Carmen Parcello. Dorothy is currently a trustee at the History Center, and she hosts the travel show on Village Television. Previously, Dorothy was active on the Chicago Club along with their monthly bus trips. She was also active on the GRF Docent bus trips and the Laguna Woods Foundation. And she was also a VMS director, while Carmen is the president of the All Musicians Club. He's a supervisor in the wood shop and makes his guitars from scratch. Can you believe that? He's also an advisor on the GRF Media and Communications Committee. Carmen has played bass guitar in 2 rock and roll bands in the village. Wow. Welcome, Carmen and Dorothy. Thank you for coming on.
What an introduction.
I had to use a piece of paper to remember all of that, because forget it, I don't remember everything these days.
I forgot it all.
I forgot it
And
all.
there was no way I could memorize it. Anyway, we already talked about the 3 questions that I have for you, and here we go. Where are you guys from?
I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but in Orange County since the late 60s.
Wow,
So
okay.
right down the street here in Mission Viejo.
And you, Dorothy?
And I came from Chicago,
Okay.
and then went to Santa Ana with my parents. And then right before we moved here, we lived in Costa Mesa.
So the 2 of you went to school in California?
No.
Oh, just Dorothy.
Yeah, just I
Dorothy,
did.
Okay.
no.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, let me move on. How long have you been a couple?
25
25 years.
25 years.
25 years.
Yes.
And how long have you been in Laguna Woods?
6
6 years.
And you've done all of this. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We didn't waste any time.
Yeah, I guess you didn't.
Yeah, we didn't.
I also lived in Mission Viejo.
Yeah.
I don't think we were neighbors, though.
Yeah.
No, well, I don't know,
Right.
but it was a long time. It was 30-some years in Mission Viejo. Yes.
Okay, I
It's a
lived there
long
in
time.
74 to 78.
So 77 through 90, 77 through 94.
Well, we may have overlapped a little
There
bit.
you go.
Anyway, big
Yeah.
question. How'd you meet?
You want to take
I'll-
that one
I'll
because
take-
you're kind
I'll
of
start.
orchestrated on that one.
I'll start. A very dear friend of mine. Obviously, I know she and her husband. And her husband worked with Carmen.
Okay.
And her husband, Joe, said he decided to get to know Carmen better before he ever introduced us, because otherwise Anita would have killed him. So after a year of getting to know Carmen, then we had a double date. And this was in Fullerton. So that's when first we met.
Joe and I had offices side by side, so we were like almost the same position. We
Yeah.
worked together like every day for a year.
In the same company?
Same company. And he one day said, hey, you want to meet somebody, really nice lady? And I said, sure, I'll go. And I was single at the time, but yeah.
Okay, so you went out on a double date,
Yeah.
and then what happened? Then did you
Then there was another date after that.
just double date, or?
No.
Oh,
No, then there was
He
another
asked me
date.
out on a real date.
A
Where did
real
you-
date
where did you go for the double
immediately followed that.
date? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The double date's fun because in Fullerton there's this great restaurant called Old Ship. And it's on Harbor Boulevard, but it's literally an English pub.
Okay.
So that's where we went. And it was November 2nd.
She remembers.
It's much more important to ask for the woman to give the
Yeah, I
information.
know.
did.
It is, yeah.
What was Carmen wearing?
I remember.
He remembers what I was wearing, which was pretty cool.
I remember.
What were you wearing?
I was wearing a suit. I came from work.
Yeah, that's right. He came from work.
I just come back from Japan. I was on a business trip in
Yeah.
Japan, and I was kind of like jet lagged, and so I had a suit on, and that was it.
So then the second date,
How soon after the first date?
Week.
a week.
Oh, okay.
He didn't waste any time.
No, how soon did you call her?
Why?
3 days.
Okay, that was good. That
And I
works.
said yes. I said sure.
She kept saying yes all the time.
Every time he asked me, I said yes, yes.
That was funny. But
So what did you guys find in common with each other?
business.
Yeah.
business. Dorothy was an executive with Disney, and I was an executive with a company called Noritsu. It was a Japanese company, and we were both we did a lot of business globally, and so we had the business interest in mind. So we had a lot to talk about.
Right. So, Dorothy, you told me that this was your first and only marriage.
So what happened is that when we met, we dated for 5 years.
Oh.
And then Carmen asked me to marry him July 2nd in Julian at the 4th of July parade. And of course, I said yes. And then on my wedding day, our wedding day, I was 53 years old, and it was my first marriage. And I had dated a lot of great men, but they weren't the right ones. And so I wasn't going to compromise. And if it meant I was single the rest of my life, I was single. But when I met Carmen, I knew he was the one. And so when he asked me to marry him, I said yes. And I was 53 years old.
And you and Carmen, were you 53 also?
54.
You're 54.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just a few years ahead of her, just a few months, just 6 months.
Well, that's
So-
perfect.
But it was particularly, I think, when people hear that, I always tell people, I always wanted to be married, but because of my career, I didn't need to be married.
Right.
I owned my own house, and my own car, and everything. So I wasn't going to compromise. And it was worth the wait. And it was important, that I waited.
Yeah.
And I tell Carmen now that, so on my wedding day, I was 53. I fully intend to have our 50th wedding anniversary, which means I'll be 103.
103, that's a long time.
He'll
from
be
now.
104, and I don't care if you wheel me into my party, I'm going to be there. And I told him, we're going to be there.
We will do it right in the studio.
That's right.
We will televise that wedding,
That's right.
My-
that party. That
She's an optimist.
anniversary.
Yeah.
I hope I'm around then too.
Yeah, she's an optimist.
But the other funny thing with my marriage was that because I had had my maiden name for 53 years, people asked me, are you going to take Carmen's name? And I said, absolutely. I waited 53 years for this new name.
So actually, I'm wondering about that. So here you've had your own career, you have your own house, you have all your own credit cards, all this is in your name. Was it difficult to change?
Not really. I wasn't the first marriage. And I was fortunate at the time of our marriage, I had transitioned from Disney to Pacific Sunwear, PacSun. And so because it was professionally that the name was important. And so because of that, I'd only worked there a few months, so everybody then knew me by my married name.
Right, right.
But it was an interesting question I always got from people like, oh, are you going to change your name?
Right, right. Oh, when I got married, first I kept my maiden name, then I hyphenated my maiden name, then I said screw it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
It became very complicated.
Right.
keep it simple.
Yeah, yeah. And I still have my married name.
But I married well because
I guess so.
because he does all the cooking. I don't cook.
Oh.
Tell him our favorite story when you met me.
We were dating and at the time, but I'd never been to her house. So the first time going to her house, I was going to cook dinner at her house. So I do all this to get all the shopping and get all the cooking done. And I walked into the kitchen and it was like really wild. It was like, it had the greatest of everything. It had the best utensils. It had just the best cookware, everything. And it was like all brand new. It was like really nice. And compared to what I was in a bachelor apartment, I didn't have all that. But anyhow, so I cooked dinner and all that. So then I saw a lot of cookbooks. There was all these cookbooks, and I thought to myself, boy, I really hit the mark here. I have a top chef, and with all these cookbooks, and I'm expecting all these recipes. And it turns out that she doesn't cook at all.
You just have the stuff.
Never have, Never has, never
have.
will. To this day, doesn't cook a thing.
So is the stuff that she had
was all-
never used, brand new, never
Brand new.
I
used?
still have some of it because it was so good. It was real high quality, and she never used it.
You know, it was funny because when Carmen told me this story, I remembered the movie Field of Dreams,
Right,
where Kevin Costner said, if you build it, they will come.
right.
So in my case, if you buy it, he will come. And he did. And he's cooking. And he's using it. And I'm just waiting at the dining room table for
There you
dinner.
go.
Do you clean up afterwards? You know how to do that.
I know that much.
That was funny. My guy friends get a kick out of that because they think they walk. It was just kind of like, it was smoke and mirrors, but it really wasn't smoke and mirrors. That's just the way she did it. She just bought the best and had the best quality, and it looked great, and that's it.
So
anyhow.
what's the favorite meal that Carmen makes that you like? What's the favorite meal that he makes for you?
Boy,
I'll leave that up to you.
I don't know. It's Italian, you know, because I mean, his family does all the cooking. That's normal. I mean, when we go to Pittsburgh, the first thing they want to do is cook for you. I think some of his Italian dishes, not one in particular. Which one do you prefer cooking?
Chicken pot roast.
Not Italian.
Good old
Chicken
American meat
pot
and
roast.
potatoes. You know,
No, come on, give us
Yeah.
something else.
No, but he's a
black
great
ink
cook.
squid pasta. With,
Yeah, oh, that is so good. The
With-
black ink squid pasta.
Black
Oh,
ink
it's
squid
so
pasta
good.
with escargot.
Escargot.
Well, my ticket is open. I'm happy.
Your calendar's open?
My calendar is open
you got
anytime.
it.
I would love to try that.
That's off the map.
You know, I was introduced to you because I saw all of the travel shows, which I thought were fabulous. And I don't know if people watching this know, they saw you in front of the camera, but Carmen was the guy who did all the work.
That's right.
How did you decide where to go and places to film? I'm really sad that you're not doing it anymore because they were great shows, but
Well, the benefit of the
I
travel
just
show,
follow her. That wherever
just follows me.
Yeah, I don't have any say in where we go.
You've seen, you know, my tour guide is Bill Hoffman.
right,
So he and I would collaborate on the destinations. And we started that show during COVID
right,
because it just pained me that I couldn't put our guests on a bus.
right,
So I invented the travel show
Right.
with great destinations so people didn't have to leave home. So it was just collaborative between Bill and I. So as we did a lot of those shows. And then once we resumed the bus trips, we just continued traveling,
Right.
filming.
right.
So they continue to play them here at
Yes.
TV6
Yes.
because the destinations are timeless. And so it's a great introduction, especially if a resident is new to Southern California.
Right.
I enjoy that, but my greatest joy was during COVID.
Yeah, it was. They were great. Do you guys? We don't have much time, but do you travel much outside of here? I mean, do you vacation outside of?
Oh yes, Europe, Italy, Spain, East Coast.
California.
You know, you can
California.
tell that you're travelers with the joy and the happiness that went into the films. I actually just went to the Mission Inn.
Good. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's great.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Yeah.
No, a lot of people say that. Though I have friends
I
that
wouldn't
call.
have known about it.
No.
But the interesting thing is, you could actually go into the Chicago Club website, and if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, it has every trip that we filmed.
Yeah.
Then they're probably also on YouTube, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
YouTube. So you can either search it or just go on the Chicago Club and look down there, and you'll see San Juan Capistrano or Dana Point or Laguna Beach and all the places, San Diego.
The important thing I think of the videos is I spent 12 years at Disney.
Right.
And our culture, from what Walt always told us, was to tell the story.
Right.
And I've used that throughout ever since I've been at Disney because that's what I did with the travel shows.
Right.
And so I did it from the perspective of the viewer
Right.
because I wanted to tell the story of the destination of where we were.
And they were great.
And they are great. They're still on.
I just got the cue that I have to say thank you very much. It's
Thank
been
you.
great.
Thank
I really
you.
It was fun.
enjoyed it. I can't wait to come to dinner.
Give us your calendar.
Thank you.
Invitation.
You're welcome. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for having us.
next up, our next couple are Chris and Pat Cassabaum. Chris, spoiler alert, plays pickleball. I play pickleball with him on Sunday mornings, and better watch out if you play with Chris. And Pat is a great crafter. I bump into her at estate sales. We're trying to fight over who gets what products. Anyway, anyway, thank you for coming on, Chris and Pat. I'm so happy you're here. I told you before, we have 3 questions you have to be able to answer. The first one is, where are you from?
You go.
South Africa.
How about you, Chris?
South Africa. But actually all over Africa. Because you were born where? South Africa or in Southwest Africa?
In Johannesburg.
Johannesburg, yeah,
Same
also.
as you.
Yeah, also Johannesburg.
Yeah.
And then you lived in?
Southwest Africa, which is Namibia,
Oh.
in the
okay.
desert.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then when we met and got married, then we moved all over. We were all the way up into Angola, coming down, Southwest Africa, Lesotho, South Africa, Botswana, Rhodesia, which is Zimbabwe,
Right.
Mozambique.
Mozambique, Zambia,
We were in many, so the
Zaire,
whole of Africa continent.
well, the whole bottom part.
Usually it's a one-sentence answer.
Yeah.
and Swaziland. We left out Swaziland
And when you lived in all these places, like how long did you live there?
quite a while.
Like a year in each place?
More than a year, I'd say, because I was working on the mines.
Got it. Okay.
So part of my training was to go to all these mines
Okay.
and do projects on them. So it was quite fun.
That was only after we met and got married.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
So I jumped a question there. Sorry.
Yeah.
You kind of jumped the question. How long have you been a couple? A couple, not married.
More than 50 years.
53 years.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And how long have you been living in Laguna Woods?
2008,
13 years.
2009. We moved here 2009
12.
on, what was it, the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Oh no, what a day to move.
Every move we made in Laguna Woods has been July 4th.
Yeah.
Because
The
it
lease
expires, the rental expires.
So 2009, that makes it 14 years.
Hot.
Going into 15 next
Oh
year.
my goodness.
Yeah,
Oh
it
my
was
goodness.
boiling hot.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the big question. How did you meet?
Okay, I lived in Braamfontein in Johannesburg, and I used to walk down to the dance studio. In the evenings, they had dancing lessons twice a week. So, and some nights they had a casual, just getting to know people. And the first night that I went to the club, or the dancing, it's Tommy Williams, like you have Arthur Murray, yeah?
Okay.
We had Tommy Williams. And I went down to the dancing studio that evening, and we had to stand in a line because you had to dance with different partners. Get the feeling, and they hold you different and
Were
whatever.
there the same number of men as women?
Yes.
Okay.
And when I got there were 3 brothers. The first one, the middle one, and the second eldest brother. So Chris was right at the end of the line, and I met the other 2 brothers before I met him. But the first brother said, there's another Patsy coming down the line.
He was the DJ.
Because his mother is Patricia as well. So, and then I ended up dancing with him, and the rest is history. 9 months later, he said, so now you're my girl? And I said, no, you haven't asked me yet. So there on the bridge, he sort of proposed.
How did he do it?
He just said, now you're my girl. And I said, no, you haven't asked me. So we, And that was the night that you kissed me for the first time, 9 months.
It took you 9 months to kiss you?
9 months.
Chris.
So I got such a shock. We were standing in the elevator door,
Yeah, 'cause
and he came forward and he bumped me. He had little bug's teeth at that time, and he bumped me with his bug's teeth. And that was our first kiss. But I forgave him.
because she let go of the open button,
And then I let go of the door.
and the door hit me and hit her, and
Oh, gosh.
So, did you get married soon after that?
2 years.
Okay, so it took him 9 months to kiss you, and 9 months to say, "Are you my girl?" That was his was that your proposal?
no.
Oh, okay.
Well, that was just asking me to go steady.
No ring? Didn't give you a ring or?
No, it was
Yeah.
our first, I don't know what you would call it, our first kiss. I mean, some couples do it the first night. You know, we waited.
Things are different in South Africa than they are in America.
Oh, absolutely. We've learned that since coming here.
So you married him. Did you have a job that you had to leave because of all these moves that you made?
Not then. I was still studying when we got married.
Yes, he was a student and at the University of the Witwatersrand, and that was also in Johannesburg.
Right.
And then,
Then we had to do different jobs.
yeah, it was,
was
all,
hard.
It was different. I was working at the bank when I met him, but before that, I was an air hostess.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and today it's different to what it was then.
Right,
You had to be a certain height, you had to speak an extra language.
right, right.
So it was
See,
a little different.
You're about my height, and so
Yeah.
were men in South Africa Chris's height, or was it difficult to find tall men?
No, I didn't date before Chris.
Oh,
No, my dad was very strict. I had very strict parents. No such thing, you wait.
and how long did it take for Pat's parents to accept you?
I think,
Immediately.
Oh, okay.
I think we got on quite well.
My dad took a liking to him immediately. But it was also another story because my dad had had a 25th anniversary at his work, and he had had a little too much to drink, and he's not a drinker. So the guys, to say farewell, they gave him a little too many. And when he met Chris, he was like looking out of one eye. And I said to my dad, "How could you do that?" Anyway, he went. It's long stories, you know.
We have time.
My dad, Chris got upset, and he said, "I've got to take the last train." Because at that time there was no buses going from where I lived to the little city or town that he lived. And he had to take the train, but he missed the train because of all this with my dad. And anyway, so my dad got in the car and he said, no. We got to go and fetch this guy. Let's go and ride after him. We'll take him home. By that time, he'd sobered up a little bit.
Because it's a 3-mile walk.
Right.
So we picked him up along the road, and the rest, and the two of them became extremely close.
Great.
Yeah.
I think I'm about to get the 2-minute warning, but so this marriage gave you 3 daughters, correct?
Yes.
And you all came to America.
Eventually, yes, all of us.
You saw the golden dream,
Opportunity.
the golden opportunity
Yes.
in America.
It was a long story with the daughters.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it takes a big planning to make such an enormous move.
Yeah, that is an enormous.
Very big move. And we were, in our late 40s when we came over.
Right.
So we knew we couldn't start over. We had to make a success.
Right. And you have.
Yes.
You have. This has been such a wonderful journey for me to get to
get
know
to
you
know
guys
you, yeah.
and to, to see everything happening here.
Yes.
Life is not always easy, but it is
Yeah,
what it
I know.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And I wish we had more time because I would love to
Yes.
hear about each of the different places in Africa that I'm really not that familiar with. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming on. This has been really
Thank you.
more information than I ever knew about either of you. And the pictures that you've sent are going to be showing up, and they're perfect. I love them.
Good.
I think maybe we sent you too many.
Yeah.
Well, you did, but I honed them down a little bit. But anyway, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having
really
us.
fun. Thank
Yes.
you.
Okay, thank you.
If you'd like to come on to the show, email us at lwvcouples@gmail.com. Include your name, phone number, and email address, and brief description of your story.